And what saved you? Like, what gave you the fortitude to make plays enough to hold on, obviously on the biggest stage?
Yeah, I mean, you were going to expect a run from them because they had a 19-point quarter. And so, just by the type of shots they take alone, you knew they were going to make some kind of run. Some of those came at the expense of our offense. I thought maybe, we missed a couple reads. They changed coverages and they changed matchups on like 3 or 4 straight possessions, and we missed the read to get the right shot. So I'd say probably 60% of the shots we took in that stretch, we got to get better, and 40% I was okay with. We just missed them. But our one-shot defense and our ability to get back to the game plan, they put a ton of pressure on your defensive game plan throughout, and you just got to stick with the discipline of it. So we were able to do that and make plays down the stretch.
Dave, second row on the left.
Joe, you guys were able to build a 15-point lead, headed into the fourth, and in that 19-point quarter you alluded to for the Mavs, Jalen and Jason combined for 22. What was working for them that maybe wasn't necessarily there for them in the first half?
Nothing. Our first half points per shot was 1.23, and so I thought we were getting like really good looks. They just weren't falling, and so you just got to stick with it over the course of the entire game. I thought in the third quarter we found the right spacing, we found the right frequency, and we made the right read 6 straight times, which got us those shots, and they were able to fall. And then that's where the second stretch of that fourth quarter. We missed some of those reads, and they were able to come back into the game. So, just those guys' ability to know that what shots they're taking and continue to take the right ones over and over again.
John, back right.
Joe, John Corrales, Boston Sports Journal. You went with Xavier Tillman in this one, and he ended up as a +9 overall. What did you see from him? What made you go in that direction?
He played in the Western Conference for 3-4 years, and so he's played against the Mavs, and so he's had that experience. Memphis has used a similar game plan that we have, so he was used to that. And I thought, with that comfort level of playing against those guys for so long, he was going to be able to execute the things that we needed to execute. And so I thought he did a great job in our switching. He did a great job in our screening, getting to our spacing, and that's what we talk about with those guys, is regardless of who's in, who's out, I trust the next man up because of the work they put in and the staff that prepares them.
Jared on the right, third row.
Jared Weiss, The Athletic. You used to get asked if you guys took too many threes for a long time, and it doesn't seem like that question gets asked too much anymore. You had double the number of threes they had for a lot of this game. They start to come back when they actually start taking them. How has your team been able to just stick with that, play through the misses? You're letting them attack your cross matches, and they're taking 2. How does that math play out in the end?
Yeah, I mean, I think you got asked that question a lot just because it was new. Anytime you're developing a new philosophy or a new style, it just takes time for understanding and execution. And so credit to the guys where we've decided how we're going to play, and we fight to do that. And, but also just being flexible in that. So it's not, we don't want to just settle for those. I think our guys have done a good job fighting for the right shot based on what the defense is giving us. We were able to get some of those in the third quarter. So I think it says a lot about them. The guys understand the game. They understand why we do what we do, and they work to execute it as best as they can.
Jay here in the second row.
What goes into weathering the storm when Kyrie and Luka come out as aggressive as they are, and they're firing on all cylinders in that first half?
Yeah.
What resilience goes into just kind of sticking with it and staying disciplined when they're going like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's first having an awareness as to how are they scoring, what are they doing. You got to ask yourself, are we executing the game plan? Are we giving the shots up that we're willing to give up? And so we I think it was one of the quarters we had like 26 points of points that we can control, and so you got to fight like hell to take those away. Once you take those away, then you can either execute or game plan or work to adjust. And so I thought our guys did a great job of understanding the points that we could control, and they fought to take those away throughout the rest of the game.
Tim, all the way in the back.
Joe, you guys had a real big run.
Thank you.
Late in the first quarter of game 1. I think you had one in the third quarter of game 2. You had 2 really big ones tonight. Is that just something innate about this team that they know when there's an opportunity to really hit the gas, or is it just talent sometimes that when you have these big stretches of pulling away and making it seem so easy?
Well, I would say both teams have a lot of talent, so I think you have to have talent to get to this spot. So that's a given if you want to make it this far. But our guys have a great basketball IQ. They have an understanding of, are we playing the right way? Are we taking the right shots? Are we giving up the right shots? And they know exactly when we're not doing that. And so they have an innate ability to control the runs of the game with the philosophy that we have and execute the things. And so it's just constant building awareness. Are we getting the right shots? Are we giving up the right shots? And then are we winning winning the transitions. And, the guys do a great job of working towards understanding that.
Adam?
One thing you've talked about a lot during the years, how it's not supposed to go a certain way, the game's not supposed to go a certain way. We've seen, occasionally there's a big lead goes away, but for the most part, you guys figure it out in the end throughout the season. What has been the process, the guys kind of grasping that and not kind of, when they're right on the edge, not falling over it?
Just what we talked about, having an understanding of, like, we know teams are going to make runs. Can we manage those? And we know why we make runs, and we know why other teams make run on us. And so you just have to constantly problem solve throughout the game. You have to ask yourself why every single possession. Why did that happen? Why did this happen? Was this what we talk about? Was it not? And the guys, they fight for that because of their basketball IQ. So they spend a lot of time understanding that. And that's part of the game, right? Like, they got out to a big lead, and I forgot, I don't even know what we were down. What were we down? 13? And so, like, that's just part of the game. But it's understanding why. Why are we down 13? Is it effort? Is it execution? Is it things we can control? And once we answer those questions, we can move on, to the next phase of the game.
Vinny, third row in the center?
Joe, Vince Gilbo, Yahoo Sports.
How you doing?
Good. Jalen had the big third quarter when he helped you guys push to the lead, and then in the fourth, he had the big jumper when Dallas was charging. Just the poise that he's played with, how have you seen that grow, not just in this series, but since you started coaching him?
How can I explain Jalen? The guy just has a growth mindset. He just wants to get better. He yearns to get better. He's not afraid to face his weaknesses, on the court. And so when you have that type of mindset, you're just going to be able to take on every situation that the game brings you. So he puts himself in every single situation that he sees in a game. He uses 6, 7, 8 coaches a day. And every situation on both ends of the floor, he puts himself in that. And that's how you have to grow, is to, become vulnerable on the things that make you uncomfortable. And he does that.
Tim, back left?
Joe, you guys have been able to put a lot of pressure on Luka at both ends. You're obviously able to pressure up with Jalen and Drew all the way up the court, and then you're able to go at him with a bunch of different options on offense, make him work a lot. Have you noticed that working throughout the game in terms of sort of being able to wear him
His
down?
13th game in these playoffs again. Nope.
Going down. He looks pretty fresh out there. I think we could do a better job of being intentional about the offense and the spacing at times. But I don't see him getting tired at all.
Right?
Yeah.
Follow up on, go ahead, 2.
Just in terms of the intentionality on offense, did you think that was an issue in that stretch in the fourth quarter when things went south?
Yeah. We were trying to play fast, create advantages, and create indecision, but we didn't create any indecision. And so when you miss the first read, it's not a lack of execution from the guys. It's not a lack of trying to execute. It's if you miss the first read and you miss the first window, it's really hard to get that window back against a team. And so that's what we were able to do in the third quarter. We found the first read, bang, right there, and we got it 6, 7, 8 times in a row. If you miss that first one, it's a nightmare to get in the second and the third one, and that's when you end up taking a couple shots that you don't want to take. So it wasn't because they weren't trying to. We just missed it. They do a good job of changing matchups and changing spacings and fluctuating it. So, there's probably about 8 possessions where we'll definitely watch and be like, we gotta do a better job of seeing the first read, and when we don't, we gotta find the second one faster.
Last 2 here in the front, and then Ramona.
Steve Buckley from The Athletic. Joe, you made the comment before the game, the closer you are to beating them up, the closer you are to losing.
Yeah.
That's front and center now with the 3-0 series lead. So what can you do to reinforce that message over the next couple of days?
Yeah, just stick to the things that we've been doing. Have an understanding. I think, we were down 13. I expected that. We were down 1.5. I expected that. So you got to expect the expected. You got to understand that, we're just as vulnerable, if not more vulnerable than they are. And we have to play that way. And so as long as we have that mindset, and, when you understand that you're vulnerable and your back's against the wall, you got to fight. And so that's the mindset that we have to have.
Ramona on the left.
Hi, Joe. Ramona Shelburne, ESPN.
Hi.
Derek wasn't shooting the ball all that well for most of the game, and then hits a couple of really big ones in that fourth quarter. I know that's kind of what he does sometimes for you guys, but is that just his mentality? Is that your emphasis on continue to shoot the three, just lean into the math? Where does that come from?
Again, it's all about taking the right shots. It's all about taking what the defense gives you. They're playing a unique unique defense against us because
His
they're one of the
13th
best
game
teams
of
in
these
the league at
playoffs.
protecting the rim, and they have two great rim protectors. And so if you try to become stubborn, you put yourself in a disadvantaged situation at the other end of the floor. Our defense starts with our offense, and so if we don't take the right shot, we can't guard them. And our team has the discipline to fight for the spacing and to fight to take the right shot, whatever that shot may be. Derek has a green light to shoot the shots because his skill set is taking the shots that make sense. He can get into the paint and shoot the 2-foot floater off there. He can shoot off the dribble threes. He can shoot catch and shoot threes. So I love the fact that he continues to play. His confidence never wavers based on the shots he takes, and you can always count on him to make the big ones.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks.
Jason Tatum's on his way in. What? What's that? Tatum.
Just shit.
John, first question, back right in the. There you go.
Jason, John Corrales, Boston Sports Journal. After the game was over, you and Jalen had a long kind of embrace at half court. Can you share any of what that was and like kind of what was going through your mind at that moment?
Just, showing the emotions of the game. Two guys that was excited, tired that, after the game, we're not necessarily saying like one more or anything like that. We're just saying however long it takes. Nobody's relaxed. Nobody is satisfied. But, just at that moment, just told him I was proud of him, and he said the same thing, and that we got to keep fighting. We can't relax, and that was basically the conversation.
Tim in the back under the camera.
Jason, Tim Reynolds with the AP, kind of along those lines. I know you haven't gone through this, so you don't know what the next 2 days will be like, but how difficult do you envision it to make between now and Friday night seem normal, seem like there's just a game to play on Friday?
Honestly, not too difficult. From the standpoint of last year, we were down 0-3 in the conference finals, and we really felt like, we were going to come back, and we almost did. We was a sprained ankle away from having like a real shot. So, we're not relaxing or anything like that. And, just not even focusing on winning on Friday or whatever, just however long it takes. That's our motto, just however long it takes, that's what it's going to take. And nobody's not time to relax at all.
Standing in the back left.
Valencia King, Real Talk Sports out of Dallas. Thank you for your time, Jason. If I could take you away from basketball for a moment. Father's Day is coming up on Sunday, and I know that's something that's very important to you. As you begin to face this obstacle of fighting for a title, what would you tell your son about facing obstacles and overcoming them?
That's a great question. I would say that, life is about roller coasters, right? And the game of basketball and life and whatever your occupation is, right? We all go through ups and downs. And in the toughest moments, that's when your true character comes out. And essentially being the same person all the time, that's what I try to do in the best of times and in the worst of times. And that's what I'm going to try to instill him, that you got to be the same person, got to be a stand-up guy, through thick and thin.
Back right, fifth row.
Hey, Jason. Jack Simone, SB Nation. There was a point in the first quarter where Drew kind of pulled you guys in. Luka and Kyrie were going on this run. They were scoring. They were getting past you guys and hitting big shots. What did he say in that moment, and how did that, affect your guys' defense, in particular for the rest of the game?
Yeah, they came out swinging. That was to be expected, that, they were at home. Their crowd was behind them. This is obviously a big game, so we expected their first punch. And it was just in that moment that Drew kind of brought us together and, just clapped his hands like, yo, we got to wake up, we got to lock in, we got to get some stops. Because at that point, they had like 25 points. In the last 5-6 minutes, we held them to like 5 or 6 points. But to start the quarter, we weren't getting any stops. And, we're not going to win a game like that. So we just had to reset and log back in at that moment.
Tim, standing on the left.
Jason, basically from that point until the 10-minute mark of the fourth quarter, you guys had complete control of the game, and then there was that 4 or 5 minute stretch where things sort of went completely haywire, and then you were able to reset again. Sort of what happened in that early part of the fourth quarter when they made that big run to get back into it, and what allowed you guys to sort of reset yourselves and close the game out from there when it got back close again?
Not really trying to look too much into it. The game of basketball is about runs, and this is at the highest level. That's the best team in the West at this point in the time. So they're going to make shots. They're going to go on a run, and it's just all about how do you respond. We talk about it all the time. 20-point leads, none of that is ever safe. It's never time to relax. And yeah, you never want to give up a 20-point lead. Obviously, we wish we'd have got some better shots, took care of the ball. But things happen. It's never going to go how you expect it. And we talk about that all the time. But if you want to be a champion, you have to be resilient in those moments. And, we showed that tonight.
Steve here in the front.
Steve Buckley from The Athletic. Before the game, your coach said to us, if you've been in a fight with someone and you think you're about to beat them, you usually get sucker punched. The closer you are to beating them, the closer you are to losing. Does he say that to you players on a regular basis, and how demonstrably does he say it? And what are you expecting from him the next couple of days going into Game 4?
Yeah, Joe does a great job of showing us clips and things from different sports, right? He's a big UFC fan, and showing us fights of people that I don't know like the terminology in UFC, but put them in a chokehold and shit, and like they're about to tap out, and you just see the guy or the woman who's winning relaxing because they feel like they're about to win, and then you give the other person life. Just trying to translate that to the game of basketball, that the closer you are to winning, the closer they are to surviving, and basically just trying to remind us in the group that we still got a long way to go. We still have to play the right way. We still got to win, that they're not going to quit, that we should expect the best from them from here on out.
We go Gary, Jay, and then Jared.
Jason, Gary Wash from Boston Globe. When they're making their run, and it could have been from the past, oh, here we go again. There's been some times at Game 4 against Golden State where guys were close. What mentality has changed where you and Jalen both said, let's go get this. Let's make plays. Let's make buckets. Forget what happened in the last 6 minutes. Let's go be heroes.
You just kind of alluded to it, that we've been in that situation. We've been in a close game where we were up, and we almost went up 3-1, and then they tied it. And experience is the best teacher, right? We learned from our mistakes. We learned from a team at the time that was better than us, that was, had been there and been over that hump, and mentally tougher at the time. And we've grown from that. We really have. And, it was on display tonight.
On your right, Jay.
You were down 1 at halftime. Did you feel okay about that after the punch you guys took from Luka and Kyrie? And then what went into executing throughout the third quarter? Joe said you guys made a lot of first reads during that stretch. But what went into that as you kind of pulled away?
Yeah, I got to watch the film, but that was some excellent basketball that we played to start the third, especially on the offensive end. I don't know how many possessions in a row that we got a great shot. We made most of them. We might have missed a few, but the way that we started the third quarter was incredible. And everybody that was on that court, the mindset that we came out to start the third in our execution, we did a hell of a job in the start of the third quarter.
Jared, last question on the right.
Jared Weiss, The Athletic. Ever since Joe came on board, you guys have taken a ton of threes. And we've all been asking, is there such a thing as too many threes? And tonight, you took so many more threes in Dallas throughout the game that even as Luka and Kyrie were scoring, you were able to keep up. What did you think when Joe first came in and was like, we want to maximize our three-point shot margin? And how has that gotten you through a lot of tough times over the years to end up with these kind of wins?
Yeah, and I don't know if it's as cut and dry as we just need to shoot a lot of threes. But with the group that we have and playing to our strengths, being able to beat guys off the dribble, and the luxury that we have is with our starting five, whether it's KP or Al, everybody can space the floor and shoot. So it just puts their 5 men in a tough position. 5 men are usually known to help at the rim. But if we have guys that can attack you off the dribble and get all the way to the rim, you want to help, but we got 40% three-point shooters all around the paint. So it's just all about making the right reads. We never we need to shoot 43s a night. But if we play to our strengths and we space how we're supposed to, it just finds the right person, and we don't turn down any great shots.
Thank you, Jason. Tillman will be right up. Okay, we'll take questions around the room. First question on 2, second row on the aisle. Dave?
Hey, Xavier. Dave McBrennan with ESPN.
On your left.
What was it like for you as a teammate to see Jalen and Jason outscore the Mavericks on their own in the third quarter, and then both of them make key plays down the stretch in the fourth after the Dallas had made it a game again?
Those are our leaders. So for them to step up how they did in the third quarter and just kind of take the game over is what we needed. And they came through for us. And especially in the fourth quarter with those last 4 to 5 minutes where we were just struggling to get a bucket, they willed in the buckets, And, at times that's what you need. And they responded and we needed it.